And thanks for watching the update. On today's show, we'll be talking with Loren McNabb, a researcher who put a website together last December 2019 where he started documenting the coronavirus, specifically COVID-19. In the months that followed, a lot has happened. The world's basically on a quarantine. There's mass graves being dug in Iraq. The country of Italy has seen hundreds die daily, and the news coming out of China has been suppressed. On today's episode, we're trying not to be political. We're just trying to show and express what we've seen in the international field. Loren, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. So what we did a couple months back, 3 months back, we heard about a new novel case of possibly infectious disease virus. We started paying attention to that. A few weeks later is whenever the rest of the world heard about it. So we started kind of tracking it, seeing where everything was going, and promptly put up a page. That's what, as a marketer, I build pages around anything that interests me. And then we started really seeing the increase in everything about the story coming out, and we started getting more and more people joining our page, looking for answers just as we were. And we built a whole community around everybody just really wanting more information. We were getting a lot of information coming out of different sources. There was already memes flying around, so we were trying to figure out what was actually legitimate information opposed to what was hearsay or people just going about it, just guessing at it. So what we want to do is be able to offer something that was based on information, and it just rolled into a platform that we just had to keep on editing as we went. We realized real quick a lot of people wanted to make it political. People wanted to get on there and tell everybody they were crazy. While we still have a lot of those people on there, of course, we don't want a bunch of people just yelling at people looking for information. So we just kind of made a hub for everybody to come together to be able to talk, instead of panicking, find information. And it's been, slowly growing. There's a lot of pages that have a lot more than we do. But, we are happy that we have the moderators and admins that we do that fact check 90% of everything that's out there. So, of course, stuff's going to come through, but...
Now, how can people see your website and get on there and get more information and kind of see what you guys are doing? I know you have a coalition of people that are working on this. It's not just people from the United States. You have an international group working on this. Can you tell us about that?
Our Facebook page is Outbreak Tracker and News, and it's for, of course, any infectious diseases or viruses. We actually created this to where this is something that we can use in the future, in case something else happens. We had a smaller kind of group started out whenever we started noticing the spread of dengue fever about a year and a half ago. So we kind of optimized it for this because we didn't really have too many people on board yet. So that is a private group. Of course, we have to use private groups so that we can moderate what's going on. We don't want people heckling everybody and going through and being mean and telling everybody that, they're making stuff up or, it's a fantasy. So if you just click join, then it's available to do so.
As we look across the world, obviously the economy is showing kind of signs of what is happening globally. We've seen the market today take another plunge. Can you talk about kind of what you're seeing? You shared with me earlier today a website that has a lot of good information on it. It's showing the cases. The state of Washington, from my understanding, is still leading with the cases. Even though testing is far and few between from where it should be. Can you talk about that? I know South Korea has got a lot of testing kits set up, but it seems like the United States is kind of trailing a little bit behind on that.
Yeah, so from what we heard initially, there was supposed to be over 1 million tests that were going to go out on a specific date. I believe it was March 3rd, but they said that they couldn't meet the demand. There was manufacturing errors, and there was also some tests that were showing false negatives, so they had to do a recall on the ones that they had. As of the last time that we seen, there was only 8,000 actual tests that were given, but as of right now, most of the websites that were reporting the numbers are no longer reporting. They're all at a standstill. So we have a website that we've been using called coronavirus.1.3acres.com. It is a website that you have to translate. It looks like it's in Mandarin, but it gives a complete rundown of the United States. And as you're saying, it shows as of right now, in the last 3 hours, that Washington State is plus 87. So Washington and New York and California are the top three, with the confirmed in Washington 457. New York is at 327, and California is at 239. We refresh this at least once an hour, and it goes up. It has been since we found this website about 5 hours ago, because all the other ones weren't responding anymore.
Yeah, as you said that, I'm showing that California is at 241. So that's just what I'm saying is this information that's being put out. Things are changing rapidly, and it's very important for people like you and the work you're doing that allows other people to kind of know what's going on. Just looking at that website alone right now, in the state of Washington, I know they had a lot of deaths in that one nursing home, but they are marked up at 6.8 as a death rate in that state. Yeah. Extremely high number compared to what we've been seeing coming out of the CDC. And then to go on to Florida with only 35 cases confirmed and 2 deaths, that on the statistic data here, it shows that that's at 5.7. So these rates are pretty high for not even having tests.
Absolutely, and yeah, and of course, as more tests are out there, everyone's expecting to see lower numbers. Some are expecting to see higher numbers. One of the things that we deal with constantly on our site, and of course, all of our other platforms. We have a city platform that we talk to people. We always have people throwing out percentages that the flu has more of a mortality rate, death rate, but until we can have an overall, and probably not until after everything's done, we won't actually have the statistics showing a global percentage of where we actually stand in mortality rate. There's been the directors for health and the government that have stated that it's 10 times deadlier. The CDC has said that it is more contagious than the flu, but as we're going, and as you had mentioned, our information keeps on changing. We will have one day it's saying that it's statistically this way, and the next saying that it is totally opposite. So the CDC did say at the very beginning, this is new, this is ever changing, we're in uncharted territory. We have no idea day to day what this is going to do. They said at the very beginning it looks like a straight strand, and it is even mutated. Now they have a coronavirus strand 1 and 2. It's like L and S, but they're saying one's more mild than the other. One is basically like the flu, and at that point, we don't really know if someone's having flu symptoms or COVID-19 symptoms, but a milder strand. So they're saying there's a mild version and a stronger version, and then some people get it mild and some people get it stronger, yet we have no statistics showing if that's just because they're getting one strand versus the other, just like influenza A and influenza B. So we're kind of doing the best that we can do to try to narrow down all the statistics and gathering them from every source that we can, and then sifting through all those and finding out which ones seem more legitimate than the others, who said it, where it came from, and what information we can use. And at that point, we'll have at least 10 people fact checking for us. and every person that's on the page will fact check. I mean, you can be assured of that. Just being on Facebook, someone's going to tell you that's wrong, and they're going to give you a source to say why it's wrong. But that's what we've cultivated in kind of the community that we have there, is that if you're going to say somebody's wrong, instead of arguing with them, give them a resource to show them why they're wrong, so that they may have the information now to be able to say, yes, I was wrong, and then they can correct that themselves. Because you're not teaching anybody or helping anybody by saying you're wrong unless you are showing them the information to back up the statement.
Well, that's a good point. There's a lot of mudslinging going on Facebook, but that is a tool that we haven't really had in the world or even in existence that's allowing people to communicate, which is another. There were some cables going around the internet, a lot of video today of some different stuff. These things that are going on around the world. Can you talk about some of the things that you've seen, and kind of where you I mean, there's a lot of hysteria at times, I guess you could say. In the United States, we're running into toilet paper issues, which, it's almost a lighthearted joke, but it's not. This is not a joke by any means. And I was just in a local store just a little while ago, and even the canned food items are starting to go now. So, a lot of people have no idea what's going on, but there's a lot of people searching for answers.
Yeah, and with the internet comes a lot of reach across the world. There was an issue with first China showing that they were running out of produce, and there was a small surge in produce. Then in Australia and Italy, there was a lot of reporting on people running out of toilet paper. And of course, mass hysteria, everyone is going to go out and they're going to start buying toilet paper, forgetting that without the food that you need to be stocking up, the toilet paper is pretty much worthless. And that's what a lot of people, I've been joking and teasing people about, what are you going to do whenever you don't have food, but you have all this toilet paper? It's not edible. So you have a lot of people that are being directed by the news. I mean, in any situation, you're going to have that. Any scenario that it's a lot of major reporting on, you're going to have people that specifically find certain things that stick out that they want to associate with how they should be, like buying toilet paper. My family, we buy it a month, ahead of time. We've just always done it that way. We went to our local Walmart. The shelves were empty. They were restocked probably within about 8 hours, and then they were empty again. And now the same thing's happening with water, because there is a large amount of media coverage on needing to stock up water. So, but with that also, we get a lot of information via the internet that's useful, and then some that we really have to take a close look at before we put it out there in the general public. With all the rules and regulations on Facebook, we can't show a lot of things without it getting tagged. So we have to be very careful with how we do it. We can cover up pictures and tell people, this may be disturbing if you have children or people who, don't like certain things. Look at your own risk. We are sent things daily from people around the world. Earlier, we were sent a very large file of different videos that someone had uploaded online. That shows a lot of mass hysteria that's going on around the world. People looting in the streets, people mainly looting gas stations, convenience stores, grocery stores, and pharmacies. A lot of that's happening, but that's not on the mainstream media because, of course, they don't want people to start freaking out and getting worried. The CDC's main concern is to keep us informed, but out of a harmful pattern such as rioting, looting, and mass hysteria. So, we really have to pay attention to how we word things, even if it is a crisis situation. We don't want to say, hey, just so you know, there's somebody in your area that has it, you better go on lockdown. We want to tell people, hey, you need to start paying attention because it's getting closer to you. You have all the information, so stay calm and just remember what you've been researching and what others have been researching. We've had people on here that we have walked through them going through the process of getting tested. A lady that was on there was getting tested, and she was very concerned. She said that she put herself on quarantine, and her husband were really nervous. Everybody was really receptive, and no one was mean, because we've been trying to do our best to keep people from being that way by booting out people who are. So everybody was with us every step of the way. And then today we had a message that she posted on the page and said that it came back negative. Her and her husband came back negative, but they're still going to quarantine for 14 days. And everybody was telling her congratulations. They were happy for her. And it's something like that. It's better to have a community that is sharing information and helping, rather than yelling at people and telling them that they're wrong. I mean, of course, those slip through the cracks, but we take them out. But that's why we don't have 80,000 compared to other pages. But those pages are getting shut down consistently because they're only covering COVID-19, while on ours you may see a few of them, coming up with something else. Like during this, there was a disease that came up in China. So, I mean, we try to regulate by doing that and staying in compliance with Facebook. Otherwise, there's a lot of other stuff we could share. We can't.
Yeah, it's a very, very strange times when it comes to the media and what is allowed on broadcast television compared to what is allowed on the internet. Yeah, we could go on for days and days talking about that kind of stuff, but even in our own media here in the United States, you're seeing conflicting statements given by leaders about this virus, and I guess that comes down to us just not knowing, right? I mean, they've only been on this for the last few months, I guess, probably.
Yeah, and what information we do get is funneled through so many people. We have certain government officials saying, this is nothing to worry about, it's just like a cold. I myself have argued the point with several people. Our county has done a really good job of trying to step up and say, hey, there is an issue, let's take notice of it. But we do also have other officials in the area, I would say, that will say, hey, just wash your hands and you'll be okay. And I'm the first person to jump on there and say, okay, that's fine, but if somebody's going to cough, washing your hands isn't going to help. Washing your hands isn't going to help because it's, aerosol, it's airborne, it's the droplets are going to still come towards you if you're close enough, and you're going to be able to inhale that. So for some people to say, well, just wash your hands and you'll be fine, I think that's irresponsible, because if you have somebody in your home that has immunodeficiency, or somebody who is in the more serious, concerning age bracket, you don't want to be around somebody that's coughing and you're washing your hands thinking everything's okay, and then you go home and infect the person that's there that you're worried about. So I think that there is a lot of confusion on how to keep yourself safe, and then there's a lot of, it's not really that bad, and then it's really extreme, just hide and don't come out, even if you need to eat. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we're paying attention to where it's at, because as long as we know where it's at, then your options improve significantly of being able to go to the store, versus you probably need to stay inside and try to avoid people who are sick. So our specific county has been doing really good with the schools, telling people, hey, if you want to keep your kids out, we understand, and we're not going to count that the same as just a absence. So certain counties are doing better than others. We're having major sporting events now closing down, which has gotten the attention of a lot of people. People that I've talked to before that says no big deal, as soon as they can't watch the NBA games, then they're saying, okay, there's something I need to look at because there's a problem. Now it's in my face, and that's what we're trying to do, is get it in people's face, but not in a bad way. Just here's some more information for you. You decide what you want to do with the information, and we're not going to press anybody on it.